Welcome to Rendering Insights. In today's video, we're going to be drawing a race cart. It's a pretty cool shot. I think you'll enjoy it. If you find this drawing interesting, please like and subscribe down below. Okay, let's take a look at it. This is the drawing that we're going to be doing. Once again, we will use Illustrator for all of our line work and then take it into Photoshop and create all of our color. All right, let's get started. Okay, here we are in Adobe Illustrator. The way we started this, I found a photograph online of a kart racer that I liked. I just liked the position of the kart and the driver, the attitude that it was portraying. I like this right front wheel lifted just a little bit, the guy's flying. So I used that as a guide and then just changed everything that I wanted to personalize for this drawing, including this radiator, this shroud, even the bracketry, these side pods, this front fairing, everything. I just changed the shape to what I wanted, still keeping it realistic, but just customizing it a little bit. And using the pen tool in an Illustrator here, you can do a lot of things. Like I got in here and just look at the stitching on this wheel, so it looks pretty realistic. Even these numbers and the graphics I just did by stick built these with the pen tool, just drawing each line of these and filling it in. Same with these numbers. And then copying it and bringing it over and changing the angle of them and drawing these over here again with the pen tool on these side pods. Okay. And decided to do this all in one layer this time, which is a little bit crazy, but it works just to simplify things. All right, so there's our overall line work in one layer in Illustrator. So let's go ahead and bring this into Photoshop and throw a bunch of color at it, make it come alive. Okay, we have our line work here in Photoshop. Let's go ahead and make 3 copies of this line work. So like always, over on the right, drag that layer down to that little plus sign, make 2 additional copies. So we have 3 total. If you want to make an extra one, it's not a bad idea, just in case you don't like a direction and you want to do something else. But I think we're only going to need 3. Okay, on that first line layer, the bottom one, we're going to go ahead and drop in all of our base colors. Now this is when the drawing starts looking better, but also looks really stark, like a coloring book. But this is what it looks like. So you take a look at your whole drawing and you figure what your base colors are going to be for your graphic layout, for the cart, his suit, his helmet, and so forth. So here's all of our base colors dropped in that first layer. And yes, like always, it looks a little bit like a coloring book, but it's a good foundation for us to do our shading and our highlights and make this thing come alive. All right, the only tricky thing I did on this layer, and I combined it for the sake of this tutorial, but get in here kind of tight at his helmet. 2 things. One, I selected his visor. I put this kind of amber light orange color in here. Then I selected this area with the magic wand tool and brushed in some darker burnt orange just to create this really cool gold iridium visor effect in here. Okay. And then also the gold leaf on his helmet, because if I was building this cart and painting this helmet, I would put some gold leaf on it. A while back I had done a paint job on a guy's car and I'd done some gold leaf, so I had taken some pictures of it and I've used it in several pieces of artwork and some digital drawings. And that's what this is. I went ahead and take copies of that gold leaf paint job and bring it into Photoshop, put it behind this layer. And since I already had these base colors in here, that gold leaf section shows through where I want it to. Then I just erase anything that sticks out. But it's cool. It kind of shows in this panel in here and in the center of this cross, and it just gives it a really neat effect, which is what that paint job would look like. Okay, well there is the basic base colors for our drawing. Now we're going to start doing some shading and some highlights, so go ahead and open up that next line layer and we'll start dropping in some shading. And literally for the next couple layers is all we're going to use is black and white. So open up that layer, we're going to grab our magic wand tool and start selecting some of these sections and start brushing in black to start give this thing some shape. We got a lot of work to do on a suit and on these fairings. So this is what that first layer looks like once we start brushing in a bunch of black. See what that does? On this fairing alone, I wanted to just to help create some shape in here. The side of this air dam on this front fairing in here, it's going to be dark here. There's going to be a natural shadow. Now the light source I'm using, I'm assuming it's coming over here, you know, from his right side. It's not exact, but kind of from the front. And you can see what that does. It creates a little shadow here. Same here. We're creating natural shadow on the bottom of these side pods. See what that does? So selecting these areas in here and brushing in some black behind the wheels in here makes a big difference. This front fairing, I select each of these panels in here, this graphic panel, this light blue, dark blue, and even the target area on this graphic area, and start brushing in some black really lightly. And see what that does? It's amazing what that does, starting to bring some 3D effect to it. Same thing on the upper part of this. Put a little bit of white in here on the side, a little bit of dark in here, and just you can start building the shape, creating the shape with your shading. Okay. Same with this upper fairing. By bringing in this side in here, the shading over here, you're creating that dynamic where you're selling the idea that this thing has some shape falling over on the side. Okay. And when I select this area, like on the number plate and some of these graphic panels in here, I'm brushing a little bit of white here and a little bit of white here. You can see that. It just helps show there's some shape going across here. All right. On his helmet, I wanted to do a little bit more detail shading on this layer also. We had a red color in here, but I wanted to just richen it up. So with some oranges and some blacks, selected this area, all these red areas on the side here and on the front only with the magic wand tool. Brushed in some orange on the back and a little bit of black over here and down here, and it just gives it a cool variation of the color, which is what I would do if I was painting it. Okay, same with the blues and everything. And these panels in here, obviously this is a black helmet, but again, on the base colors I started with gray. Gray is a great color to build black paint scheme on. You build your black and use the gray as a natural highlight as you brush outward. See what that does? You bring your black in here, you fade out where it's light over here, you start brushing it in with that paintbrush tool, and then lighten it up, leave this gray area over here. It just helps to give it some effect. Same with the top of this visor and every place else up here. One of the trickier parts of this this drawing is this suit. Trying to sell the idea this is fabric. This is not something that I do very often, so I'm not very good at it. But again, with your magic wand tool, you're selecting these areas in here, grabbing your black, get your paintbrush tool really small, and just start brushing in where you think these wrinkles would follow these lines in here. Same thing, creating these wrinkles. Then later, selecting in here with this kind of gold color and continuing that, so you're selling the idea that these wrinkles are going across his arm. Same thing here, you select this area, this gray, okay, right here, grabbing that magic wand tool with your black paintbrush tool, pretty small, and start brushing in and just creating wrinkles somewhere. You're just making it up as you go. Okay, kind of along the zipper area and down here, I just made some wrinkles. Did the same on this leg and on this waistband too. Okay, just got that kind of goldy color in here and just created a fold in here. Select this area, create some shadow in here so it looks like it rolls over around the edge, and then a little wrinkle here, a little shadow underneath this flap. So it's obvious that this is the top flap that Velcros onto here. Just kind of making it up. Now on the steering wheel, I love these wheels. They're great. They're such high quality and they have so much detail. The stitching in here is so cool. But when you start rendering it, it's a little bit tricky. So you figure that light source is over here. You're going to have natural shadows and highlights. So to sell the idea, you're selecting this area this area, and you get in real tight and select every one of these triangle areas in the stitching, and this area lights up, then you can render it. What you do, you grab your paintbrush tool, you open up your black really wide, light opacity, and go in here and brush that. This spoke is going to have a natural shadow, so you get in there and you brush that in. It's going to have a little shadow under his glove, so there you go. Same thing underneath this fairing, it's going to show underneath here. Little by little, you select these areas and render it out one panel at a time. You select this area up top, grab your black, put some shadow on the bottom and where the fairing would cover, and a little bit right along that edge where that fold is. I don't care if it's realistic or not, I like it. All right, just a little bit on top. Same with this side. You put black in here, a little darker where your glove's going to be hiding it. Then you grab your white and just put really little bit there, like you're picking up a highlight coming in from this way. Just make it up as you go. You're creating this. All right. Let's open up our next, and I think on our last line layer, and we'll start doing a little bit more shading and a little bit more highlights. This is what that looks like. Done a few things. Gotten in kind of tight. Let's look at these wheels on this left side. You select this area, the center of the wheel. You can do both at the same time. Get your black, open up your brush, back your opacity off, and you brush the top to create a shadow from underneath. You brush the bottom, create a shadow on the bottom, and then you brush in here because you know it's going to be darker on the inside. You're not going to get the light in here. Okay, and this is what that looks like. You're brushing in here. Then you get your brush really small and you brush right here behind this little beadlock area. Okay, see what that does? Lots of little detail. Like on this seat, see how the top of the seat, how it rolls over? Like just over this bracket in here. It's great what you can get in here, select these areas and brush some black in here. Remember we had that radiator shroud? We had a natural highlight in here by leaving those gray areas. Well, let's exaggerate that a little bit. I want to select this and it lights up this area. Grab my white and brush in a little bit of highlight here. And I want to exaggerate the idea that there's light coming through between his arm and the radiator there. See what that does? Just helps it to pop a little bit. And it's that way all over our drawing. Just adding shadows and highlights where we need them. All right. Up on the helmet. This visor looked pretty good anyway, but I decided, you know what? It just needs some striking highlight reflection streaks in here. So you select this area, and I just got my white and just brushed in some strokes in here. Look what that did. It just really helped bring that to life. Okay. And I like detail. So even on this bracket, there's not much there and it's not very realistic, but it's just something to, I don't know, to sell the idea on this rendering. Okay. Now for our graphics and our stickers and our sponsor dedication and all that, I kind of did them in groups just for sake of time. So let's look at everything on the helmet to start with. So here is all of our helmet graphics in one shot. I'll get back a little bit. There you go. All right. Here's our driver's number, sponsors, my little logo in here, and racing deal there. Let's get back a little bit. Let's put all of the Kart stickers. I put those all on one layer also. Drop those in. See what we've done there. And it's fun. It just really adds to the idea. This is a race vehicle, full-on professional, and got to take care of your sponsors. All right. The only thing that's glaringly missing are the ID stuff on his driving suit. So here you go. I put those on one layer also. I wasn't really sure what to do, so I went ahead and added a few things and then had to darken it up as I went. So there you go. There's all the driver logos. Even got the sparkle sticker down on the bottom of his feet on his driving shoes. Driver ID, club affiliation, and sponsors. So there you go. Now, really, the only thing missing are a few top highlights on our guy here. So let's put those in. And I love top highlights because it really makes a difference. And we don't have a lot of chrome, but a little bit of chrome detail here, a little bit on the helmet. Look what this does. I love what that does. These little hot spot reflections, even up here on these fasteners, even though there's not much to them, it really makes a difference. On the helmet alone, you get in here and we have these vents in the front of his helmet, but we're going to detail those out a little bit so this thing really pops, and he's selling the idea this has this shape. So here's those highlights. See what that does? Same thing with this ridge here where you can grab this visor on this recess. Same thing on these fasteners in here. Makes a big difference. And I decided to go ahead and create a hot spot up on top there on his helmet. So he's heading into the sun. So that's what helps sell the idea that our light source is coming from this direction. Okay. Well, there is our race cart, our driver, helmet, suit, pretty much all the detail except he's floating in the air. So let's give him the background. So what I did to start with, we have our ground line in here. So to create a track surface, I put in kind of a medium to dark warm gray, brush it in here, and then start just brushing in some streaks like I do on my track surfaces so forth. Because he's going at speed, so it's going to be zooming by. So this is what this looks like. It's not super realistic, but it sells okay. This is a track, it's asphalt. It's a street circuit. So then on the background, I played with several different things. I put some sky back here. I put some race course background, some fences, hay bales, a little bit of everything. I didn't like any of it, so I thought, you know what? This guy's a pro. He's going to be running on a professional street course somewhere. And I go, well, what better and more impressive street course for a kart would be the streets of Monaco. So here you go. I placed him in Monaco. I mean, how cool would that be? I've walked this track. It's an amazing place. I can't imagine on a race day being on a track with this kind of spectators watching. It'd be fantastic. All right, well, there's my take on a race kart going at speed in the streets of Monaco. Well, thanks for watching. Please check out all the other videos we have on rendering insights.